Welcome to Toxicology, brought to you by Recovery Unplugged, the place where we talk about all things substance abuse, recovery, and mental health, with guests offering varying perspectives and viewpoints. Hosts Joseph Gorordo and Jason Cabello share about their addiction and recovery and other serious subject matter through lighthearted yet candid conversation.
Hi, and welcome to Toxicology, the latest and greatest episode on addiction, recovery, mental health, and whatever else we feel like talking about. I'm your host, as always, Joseph Gorordo, and Jason's not here today. He'll be here later. That's okay, because I get Tim all to myself. Tim, how's it going out in Denver?
Going great, Joseph. Yeah. So good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to bring you into this side of my world, right? Because you and I met in a very different kind of set of circumstances of my world, right?
Very.
Yeah. So folks at home, spoiler alert, Tim and I met in treatment back in April. Well, I mean, technically March 29th, Tim and I met. And yeah, life was a little different back then for both of us.
It was, I think I was a week in, and you were obviously your first day on a Saturday. And I still have a very vivid picture of you sitting in that office.
Just crying, like unable to breathe.
Yeah. Just crying. I think you had a guitar with you.
Yes.
You're rough shape.
I had a big old guitar. Yeah. But so, you and I became friends in a weird way in treatment. I always felt like, because like, it's not like we bonded over like being super buddies. Like we kind of bonded over like holding each other accountable, I feel like.
Absolutely. There's a couple vivid memories I have, but the day where you called me out in front of the room for swiping some extras from the med cabinet. Yeah. First of all, I don't even know what I was trying to accomplish because those, whatever I was getting, I don't remember the name of it, just doesn't do that.
I think it was Seroquel.
Yeah. No, Seroquel will put you down.
Yeah.
But
No,
it was something for like anxiety.
It was something stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. And in front of like 10, 15 people, I said it like I was doing something cool, a week or 10 days into treatment. And you're like, called me out. And I was like, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That's obviously what I need.
Yeah. And then you were always
moment.
And you were always mean to me in group, which was good. Not mean, you know what I mean.
I was trying my best to hold you accountable, keep it real.
Yeah.
Like you shortchange yourself quite often.
Yeah. Well, I think also just like in treatment, which is what's real funny, Tim, is actually I tell people all the time, I'm like, I thought I was going to be like a great client in treatment and whatever. And that like once I got there, I was like, oh man, I am like one of the more fucked up guys here. Like I did the stuff I was supposed to do.
Yeah, I would say not to interrupt you, but I'd say from a treatment perspective in doing the work, being vulnerable, honest with yourself, with your situation. I think you were an A+ student.
Yeah.
And I think that greatly impacted the room. The impact of hearing your story through timeline, trauma egg, schema, and all the other things you did in a short window of time. I could regurgitate your whole story right now.
Yeah.
Because I did it so many times.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I really like. Shout out to Valiant Living out in Denver. That's where we were at. Maybe we can get them to sponsor the show or something. But one of the biggest things for me at Valiant was the way we would do those 2-hour groups and like really get in depth. Cause like I could pretty much regurgitate your story right back to you. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to. We should actually get into that. So
that's what we're here to do, right?
Yeah, that's what we're here to do, And what I really love is how like your story really starts with gambling, which is something that I don't think gets talked about enough. And you and I have been talking a ton about how it's coming, right?
Coming more than ever. I mean, it's coming.
Yeah. So I'm going to fill in the blanks on some of your life real quick. Tim, you grew up, adopted by an amazing family in Detroit.
Suburb of Detroit.
Suburb of Detroit. Yeah, not not Detroit proper, but grew up, with a great family, pretty good high school, good part of town. Very Christian family, I believe, or not
Yeah,
very,
no,
but a good Christian family.
no, my both my parents were and are extremely religious,
Okay.
and that was bestowed upon me at a very young age, although I rebelled against it as much as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, good part of town. As I said many times in treatment, you know, I'm sure there's some psychology back to younger days and things that happened, but Tim's problems were created by Tim.
Yeah.
His parents did everything they could to this day, did everything they could possibly do to get me all the resources, help, conversations, everything to
Yeah.
help me figure it out.
Yeah. Well, spoiler alert, despite me knowing like all your fucked up stuff, like they raised an amazing human. So good job,
Thank
Mom and Dad Mumford.
Lois and Jack.
Yeah. Lois and Jack. Shout out Lois and Jack. But, let's get into your story, and I really, I think that for me in knowing your story is like the two big things I mean, really it's one big thing. It's sports. It's sports
Yeah,
either as an athlete or as an addiction, right? So,
or coach.
or a coach. Yeah. Yeah. Just, your whole life around that. So
Yeah.
let's start with your first gambling operation.
My first actual bet was in 7th grade, and I remember it like it was yesterday. It was college basketball, Florida, Alabama. The over-under was 132, and for those of you that don't know what an over-under is, you take Florida's score at the end of the game, Alabama's score at the end of the game, so if it's 60 to 62, that's 122 points, and all you have to do is pick over that number or under that number. Pretty simple concept. And on that given day, I had $50 on the game, which doesn't seem like a lot of money, but in 7th grade,
In
it's a
seventh grade, that's a
substantial
lot of
amount
money.
of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I won, and I always wonder, I truly, truly wonder, probably wouldn't have made a difference, what would have happened had I lost? But I remember in that moment, the feeling, because I'm crunching the numbers, I need 6 points per minute, I'm breaking it down to the possession, and I love numbers, as you know, and I beat it by 4 points, and it was just a great rush, and I didn't learn till, almost 30 years later, the dopamine hit I'm getting in my brain
Yeah.
from that and what I'm becoming, even though it's not a substance, what I'm becoming addicted to at a
Yeah.
young age and what's happening. Um, and then that parlayed into, no pun intended, by 8th grade, uh, 20, 30, 32 or 2,000 or 3,200, I can't remember the exact number, somewhere between those two, um, was won on the Super Bowl, Giants Ravens 2000, I think it was. And word got back to my parents, and they're just like, 2,800 today is a lot of money, but they're like, 8th grade, what are you doing? This is crazy. I actually got admitted to what I now know is a psych ward in 8th grade,
Yeah.
St. Joseph's of Pontiac. Take your shoes away,
It's a
take the belt
sign.
away.
Yeah.
And and it was, I remember I got out on a Thursday. This was basketball season, and like I got out and I got to go play, or what thought I got to go play in the middle school basketball game, which I didn't because I wasn't in school that day. But I walked in the gym, and you would have thought people saw a ghost with
Yeah.
like everything that was going around. What happened to Tim? What did Tim do?
Yeah.
And I learned later too that I become addicted to that whole thing. What stories being told, the stigma of it, and all that stuff.
Yeah. 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 I mean, the persona of Tim, right? Like, who does Tim want to be? How does Tim want to be seen? And, like you said, that dopamine rush, like that, the way you started describing, winning that first bet is the way I've heard hundreds and thousands of people describe, the first time they did a line of Coke, right? Or the first time they took a drink. And for us, biologically, that dopamine response is different, right? Other people have a first drink or a first bet, and they're like, "Wow, that was fun." And people
And they
like you and
can,
people like you and me are like, "I want to feel like that forever."
ever.
Yeah.
What the first time I combined, and we'll get to the Roxy's later because
Yeah.
that comes later in life. But when I combined Roxy's with gambling, whew, I was convinced I had the world figured out
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, this is it. Just placing weird bets on weird sports from Korea.
Chinese, cricket in India, who knows? I can show you some stuff to be like,
Yeah.
what are you even doing up at 4 AM looking
Yeah.
at that?"
Now, so like most people, right? Things went well for a while, right? And I love, when I talk to people about treatment, I start to describe kind of my buddies from treatment, I love telling people about the good part of your story because they're always very impressed. Um,
There's a
so
lot of good.
yeah. I mean, how many Super Bowls you been to?
5.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
But
that's
the key
wild.
is how many was I present for? 1,
One. Yeah.
because I was so concerned with the gambling and the copious amounts of money on the game that, uh, you're not thoroughly enjoying the reason you're there. When you win, it's great, which I did, and I've had some moments where, uh, I'll quote some things from my ex-wife, who were so very cordial, by the way. Shout out Jess, who just had a baby 2 days ago. Um, we walked out of the Super Bowl 2020, Chiefs, Buccaneers, the COVID year, cardboard box people next to us.
Yeah.
Weird, just weird. And I think I had lost maybe 50, 70 grand in the game, but Tom Brady was my guy. Like, that's my all-time favorite, never let me down. And we're walking out of there, and I just got a desk there. She's like, "What's going on? We're staying in the water. Your guy just won. We just left the Super Bowl," and I'm just fucking pissed. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just
You
pissed
can,
off.
you can cuss as much as you want.
Oh, okay,
This is
cool.
my show. This is my
I
show,
gotta say
bro.
that now.
Yeah, come on.
No.
No, you can cuss as much as you want. But so, like, I really want to highlight the gambling piece because, when you and I met, you had only admitted to being a gambling addict. And that changes later on in the story, right? But, you know, I'd like to hear from your perspective, like, what did that progression look like for you from like that first bet to where things got to when you really realized, like, I've got a fucking problem here?
So that's a really loaded, long question, but I'll do my best to summarize it somewhat in a reasonable amount of time. So you win the first bet. And so, like you said, as you mentioned, I grew up in an affluent community with a very diverse group of people. So we got Southwest Detroit, which is full of Spanish, Mexican, Venezuelans. We have
Mi gente.
the largest populations of Middle Eastern, whether that's Muslim or Chaldeans, which are Christians from Iraq.
Oh, you had to teach me about the
Albania.
Chaldeans.
Yeah, they were my people,
Yeah.
but they were also a lot of my problem. But I love them to death. Um, Albanians, Russian, big population of Jewish people, and just lots of money flowing around. And what I learned later in life, I'm an American Italian, but raised American, and outside of sports, that was the one place where I felt I fit in, was the gambling world. I knew it. I knew sports. I could speak to it, and everybody was doing it. It's like keeping up with the Joneses at a young age. And so middle school becomes a thing, becomes a problem, but sports was still very prevalent in my life. I was a good athlete, above average. And high school comes, and I go to the local Farmington Hills Harrison, which, if you look it up, most state championships for football in the state of Michigan before they shut down. And I became very focused on football. And while gambling is still around, it's not dominating my life because I'm very into football, basketball, track,
You've got
baseball,
something
whatever.
else that's fulfilling you.
Yeah, and I'm still on the weekends, running around, doing my thing. Um, you know, I had a friend, rest in peace, Scott Moscow, died from a drug overdose my senior year of high school, his freshman year of college, methadone. Um, his parents won a big lawsuit against a hospital. And when I tell you I think I told you this in my timeline, they had the dream house for high school kids or anybody.
The basement. Yeah.
With the TVs and the phone and the poker table and food, jacuzzi, pool, have anybody over any hours of the day. Dad's upstairs doing drugs. Mom's messed up with her leg. Nobody's watching us. You pay the dad $10. He'll call the school, pretend he's your dad, excuse you from school for the day.
Just living the life. Yeah.
Yeah. It just should not happen in anywhere, but specifically in suburban.
Isn't it funny how, like, there's stuff that happens as a kid that you're like, this is fucking great. And then, on the other side with some foresight and some wisdom, right? It's like, wow, like that should not have happened.
Yeah.
You
My
know?
parents got slick to it. So I'd have to ask the dad, hey, can you park your car outside. I'll give you an extra $5. I'll park it in the garage so my parents can't, because we live in the same neighborhood,
Yeah.
can't see my car.
Yeah.
Just all sorts of, scheming,
Yeah.
maneuvering
Yeah.
my whole
What
life.
do I got to do? What I got to manipulate to get what I want?
Right. And so, um, high school ends, had the opportunity to do college football, decided not to, just Division III stuff. And I was like, I don't want to do all that. And then that's when, partying and entrepreneurial side of me came out, and gambling just took off. So I was a bookie. So I was taking the bets, but I was also placing the bets. And it was, depending who it was, thousands and thousands of dollars being exchanged between the, ages of 18 and, near 20s. Dad tells me, I'm not doing very good in school. He tells me you got to go get a job. How do I get a job? I like
Yeah.
what I'm doing. So typical Tim, I figure out how to rent out a club in Pontiac, Michigan, which is where we went, 18 and up clubs, pay off the bouncers to do washable X's so people can drink, 18 and up, blah, blah, blah. And I'm making, on a good night, we're making 5-10 grand. Bad night, break even, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm the king of the city because everyone's coming to the party. So just everything is all about the ego and the image and the facade. And it is a lot of fun. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I didn't have a great time, but it's all stems into the gambling and the rush and the chase and the hustle.
Yeah.
And
So
it's still okay. It's not like, there's times where I got to go to, parents for some bailout because I get in over my head. And, I always tell my parents, you guys didn't do anything wrong. And they always say, well, maybe we enabled you. And maybe there's a lot of
yeah.
truth to that. But it's like,
Well, I mean, on the parent side of things, right? There's no guidebook for how to deal with a child who has an addiction.
right.
Right. There just
And
isn't.
they're not even processing in that moment.
That's what's
Could
going
be a
on.
gambling
Yeah.
addiction.
Yeah.
Right?
They just think they're helping out their kid, and a lot of the things that are okay for families to do for normal children isn't the same for us, right? But I want to touch on something you said about about how you were the bookie, but you were also playing bets. Is that basically the gambling equivalent of being a drug dealer and also getting high off your own supply?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. So bad news.
That's a great analogy. I've
Yeah.
actually never said that. That's a great analogy.
There you go.
Because if you're smart, you just stay in the house because you're going to win.
The house always wins. Yeah.
The house always wins. There's a small percent of people that can win. They're not any of these influencers you see on social media. God bless those guys, but
The
they're
dude with all the
full of
face
shit.
tattoos, he's not legit.
All those guys are full of shit. All of them. They're funny, but they're all full of shit. Dana White's a guy who you want to follow that maybe he might be doing something.
Well, let's
but
not do
he's
the
got
gambling
money.
tips. Let's not do the
Right.
gambling.
So yeah, it's the same thing. And you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Maybe your players lose, but then you gotta go pay your bookie.
Yeah.
Beat bookie, pay your players. It's all just all over the place.
Yeah.
But you become addicted to the chaos of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to normal people that sounds exhausting, right? But the parallels are there, right? Of like addiction, right? Like how do I, my job can't know what's going on here, and I've got this lie that I told them, but I got this other lie that I told to my girlfriend or that I told to my parents, and I'm manipulating these people this way and that way, and I can't. How do I keep all these plates up in the air? And I'll say even to this day, I think I'm a little addicted to chaos, man. I look at my life and I'm like, shit's hectic.
Yeah, the conversation we had the other night. I mean, getting much better at it, but I'm still learning how to just chill.
Yeah.
On like Monday night, watch the game and read or email or whatever I'm
Just
doing.
regular as a day. Yeah.
And just nothing's really going on, but that's a good thing.
Yeah. So gambling starts to get worse. At what point do you realize like, this might be a problem?
I think in the back of my mind, I kind of always knew it was a problem, but nothing really devastating had happened.
Yeah.
Life is going this way. Things are, going up and up and up. And I would say, so 2014, I get into the insurance field, leave the gym field.
Yeah.
And I do really, really well right away. Write some big accounts, start making some money, the country club life, the whole thing. And now I'm really inflating my image. I've got the cars, the the places to live and just the whole thing's going with the watches. The whole
Yeah.
facade is now complete because I'm actually making money, and that goes well. And gambling's still around. Had some very shaky moments that things could have went south quickly. I'll leave names out of it,
Like
but
at the end of Uncut Gems, Adam Sandler.
like, I'll just give you one quick example. So I'm a member at a country club. I'll leave names out of it. There's a person there that's a bookie. He did his pay and takes, meaning you pay him, they pay you a little differently.
Yeah.
And so we were settling after the Super Bowl. And at this point, I believed I'd owed him about 200 grand. But at that moment, I did not have, but he believed I have it because of the image I had
Yeah, yeah.
created.
You're at the country club.
Yeah.
Of course you got 200 grand.
Right. And who I'm hanging out with. And so Super Bowl comes. This is the Brady Falcons down 28-3 in the third quarter. Game's over.
Oh, of course. Yes.
No chance of winning. I'm on suicide watch. Not literally, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, I'm dead. I'm gonna lose my
Yeah.
job. Yeah, the whole world's gonna know. And I think I had about 250 on the game, and I ended up winning. So I actually came out somewhat ahead. But
If you hadn't won that
literally
bet,
everything had to go right in that game for me to get on the other side. And the amount of, oh my God, my life is over, and then, oh my God, I'm free and back, and just I get chills thinking about it. That could have stopped everything right there. You would have thought in that moment,
like,
okay,
I got my
let's
free
just
pass. Fuck
life is
this.
good.
Yeah.
You got things going on. Slow down. Football season's over.
Well,
No, that's
it's
not
just
at
like
all
it,
what I did.
just like with substance use, right? Like, someone overdoses, they get Narcan, EMS revives them, and a normal person would look at them and say, like, okay, you got your jail out of free card, your get out of jail free card, that you're not going to do that again, right? It's like, no, I'm definitely going to do that again, right?
So where it really took off. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to point something out too. In treatment, we talked a lot about the parasympathetic nervous system, right? And we would talk about being in your dorsal and your all that kind of stuff. And as you were talking about your experience throughout this game, right? What occurred to me is like the shock to the nervous system of just being that tense, right? Fight or flight, and do I and can I and will I, and like that takes its toll.
And it's like, when they scored that final touchdown to win the game, it was the equivalent of throwing 10 Roxys in the mouth, type of thing.
Just like
right?
adrenaline, dopamine, fucking all the things. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So keep going.
I really believe things really took off right around COVID in all sorts of directions.
Yeah.
So everything is like, just from a professional perspective, everything is good. I'm not blaming COVID. I just had way too much free time.
I mean, COVID fucked up a lot of people,
I had too much free time on my hand, making money, entrepreneurial things are, open up a dispensary.
Oh, you got like
open up
that weed business. Yeah.
Yeah, you got the dispensary going. The stump grinding company comes in at some point in there, and I got a very, very. I was blessed to have I have a lot of good mentors in my life, but I had become partners with an older gentleman who had made a comment to me at a Tigers game once. He wanted to own 10% of Tim Mumford the rest of his life. He's a very wealthy guy, and our deal was you bring opportunities to the table, I'll fund it. I get first dollar out. We're 50-50 partners on profits after that. Couldn't have found a better deal or a better, smart mentor guy. We're still good friends to this day, but fucked all that up too.
Yeah.
And, can I talk about some of the illegal activity I did on here? Or should I not?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Yeah. I talk about running meth and selling heroin and shit.
Right. So I was corporate America guy that everybody thought I was / entrepreneur which those things were all true. But I had a best friend who I have no idea where he is today. I hope he's okay. Who was very heavy into the weed delivery service, on the black market. And I just never really got into it until one day another buddy brought up to me about a guy we know from California. He can get it for some price. I called my other buddy and said, hey, listen, how many can you sell in a week if I get him for this? And I'm doing the math. Like, all right, I'll just give it to him and I'll make my little margin in between. And, we were moving for about 2 years, 150, 200 pounds of weed a week, starting in COVID to 2022, 2023, before the market took a shit and it just kind of became a big waste of time.
Yeah.
But when I tell you,
The weed market?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just the black market in Michigan was crushing it for a long, I mean, crushing it even before 2020, but
Yeah.
2020 to 2022 was printing money at an unbelievable rate. I mean, I had thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash just fucking laying around at all times.
See, and
And,
you're talking about this, and I'm just like, man, like, I know, you're making good money, you're at the country club, you're winning your bets, you got a couple businesses going. And again, right, like a normal person would be like, well, why risk it by doing all this illegal stuff on the side? And it's, that idea of like addiction is a disease of more, right? Nothing is ever enough.
yeah, and, I had this thing in my head, that I knew good lawyers and I was never the guy touching all this
Yeah.
stuff, or delivering these garbage bags full of, I'd pay someone to do
Yeah.
that. And, I was like, I won't get in any
Yeah.
trouble. And thank God I never did. But, definitely risky behavior, even if weed was desensitized at that point. The copious amounts that we were doing it with and behavior we were partaking in, and specifically the people we were doing it with, crossing state lines, some of the people we were dealing
Yeah.
with, biker gangs, whatever. It just was all bad news.
Yeah.
But, I'm making money in my real life. And in this other life, I'm making 10 times that doing all these other
Yeah.
things. I mean, and so I remember, so the casinos in Michigan were just, at this point in time, were just like blackjack and the table games.
Yeah.
There was no sports book. And while I'd go play blackjack with buddies, for whatever reason, like that just didn't do it
Did
for
do it
me
for you.
the same way sports betting did for me.
Well, because you like the edge, you like to feel like you're smart, you like, the logic of it. Whereas, there's so much luck to be had with blackjack or whatever. At least that's my theory about what you like, because
Yeah, I mean, one, goes both ways. There's
Yeah.
theories for blackjack and blah, whatever. But either way, I don't have the patience to learn any of that stuff. I'm just firing. Whatever I like, I'm going.
Yeah.
And I remember, right, just we were opening back up in Michigan from COVID, the sports books opened. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I don't got to deal with the bookies anymore because there's always a story with those guys. And I'm going down. I remember, and I'll shout this guy up, Derek, greatest attendant at the Greektown Casino. And I walk in and I go, give me 15 on whatever basketball game was on. This is when the NBA was playing in the bubble. He's like, $15? I said, no, 15,000. And like, he had to go get it approved. It was a whole thing. I won. I believe at a point in time, my host there told me my average play was $17,700 for like a very long extended period of time,
Yeah.
and I used to have piles of tickets from,
Yeah.
ranging all over the place.
I've never bet more than $50 on any single thing ever.
Good. Don't.
No, I don't plan to. I don't need any other addictions, bro.
Yeah. It's, and I learned along the way too, like I'm a very stoic bettor. So no matter how good things are, how bad things are, you're not going to know if I'm up or down or where I'm
Yeah.
at. And, but I always loved, like, if I had a $50,000 bet, show the person the ticket. Or if I hit a couple $100,000 parlay, Barstool guys would put it on their Instagram. And that I love just as much as I became a point where I wasn't even into the win or the loss. It was more the image and the look
The
at
ego,
me.
the recognition.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point in time towards the end where I stayed in the casino for 9 straight days, like in the casino, never left the grounds. Went to
Not
Dunkin' Donuts
yeah.
in the morning, gambled on the middle floor during the day, maybe went outside to smoke a cigarette here and there, and then back to my room to where I'd have like people bring me clothes because I
Yeah.
didn't have it, or I'd get stuff from the place to give me clothes, and it was gross.
Oh, man.
And
It sounds
that's when things get bad, but I'm still bouncing back and forth.
So how do you end up in
Manage
treatment?
Go ahead.
So how do you end
Go
up in
ahead.
treatment? Yeah.
So fast forward, during COVID, then this is when things really spiral. Roxy's come into my life. I know we don't want to talk a ton about that, but
Yeah.
it's crucial. So I always had some logical thinking, whatever that means within the gambling, where things I could control it to where things didn't blow up per se.
Yeah.
I got lucky sometimes,
Yeah.
but there was way more logical thinking. And then the blues come into my life, perk 30s, Roxy's, whatever you want to call them. And then all logic went out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the race to zero, whatever I had to do to get money. And October of 23, all resources, money. Look, I look like I'm dying. I got scratches all over my face, just so unhealthy. And I finally threw my hands up and was like, this is absolutely insane. But I went to treatment twice. You know that, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
First
I've
time.
learned now the first time I did this was because I was running away from my financial problems that I had created, or everything that I've fucked up in my life. I just wanted a timeout.
You're trying to get out of
I
the
came
burning
to
building.
treatment, and I had to be the smartest guy in the room all the time, and I'm challenging the staff, and I'm
They
this,
love
that.
that. They really
Yeah,
love that.
like I was like the worst person to have in treatment, and I love these guys as friends, but we were the worst group of people to be together in treatment.
Mhm.
Nobody was taking anything seriously, unlike our group the second time,
Yeah.
which was amazing and made it just completely changed and had an impact on my life being with all you guys
Yeah.
the second time. So I'm making it to IOP. So that's how I got the treatment.
Yeah.
Didn't take it seriously. IOP comes, and it's right around Christmas 2023. And I know Valiant, I'm scheming. Valiant's having their Christmas party. And the moment they do that, I run out the back door and go home and don't even, I kind of told them, but not really. They had no chance of
Yeah.
stopping me.
Yeah. You're at the airport by
I
the time they
really
even
didn't
know
do
what's
any
going
work.
on. Yeah.
And,
Now,
but what I witnessed when I was there is I saw a lot of people before me and some that I was with really change their lives, and that stuck with me. And
Yeah.
I went back home, and within 2 weeks, I was right back into my stupid
yeah.
behavior.
So you saw enough to know that there was a better way, that there was a way out. You know.
Yep.
Now, one crucial point that I'm gonna point out for you is Tim, the gambling addict, leaves treatment, is at the airport, and is drinking before he leaves Denver.
Yep.
You know, and then, as you mentioned, right, 2 weeks later, you're right back where you started.
Yeah, and I just, it shows you how closely I paid attention in group for 45 days of, I don't have a drinking problem. And I don't, it all stems to other things once you do it. And that's why I don't do anything now.
Yeah.
But it's like, within 20 minutes of being in the airport, I'm down in Champaign. And
Yeah.
then within 2 weeks later, I'm getting the Roxy's, doing the thing, and, manipulating my way through life.
Yeah.
And it was a really dark time from, early 2020 or end of 2023 into March of 25.
Yeah. So, have you heard the saying, there's nothing worse than having a head full of AA and a belly full of booze?
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm sure I've heard that at one of these meetings.
Yeah, but like knowing that there's a better way, and you're sitting there, I have this image of Tim on his couch in his underwear, just munching pills and watching sports and probably drinking too, which is miserable. And so you and I meet. So you decide, enough is enough. You go back to treatment. You're at Valiant. I show up a week later, and I remember getting there and being a mess. But I also remember on Monday there was this whole controversy about Tim and Suboxone. And I don't want to get into the whole thing, but just more so like my reaction to it was like, okay, this guy's a fucking problem. I don't know what happened, but this is problematic,
It was, that was my addict brain still talking to me for sure.
Yeah.
Thank God they put the kibosh on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
No,
was,
definitely. And I remember, small treatment center, right? There was like 10 to 12 of us at any given time. So everybody kind of gets pretty close. And, after that, there was a thing where I called you out for whatever pill or whatever. But then I remember a couple days after that, you telling me about like, hey, So last time I left here, I drank at the airport. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, do you think I'm a drug addict? And I don't remember my exact response, but I think it was something along the lines of like, yeah, probably. Or like, nobody can decide that for you, but in my opinion, yes.
Yes.
um,
I was still having rationalizing in my head what I was and what I wasn't.
yeah,
And when I came out of the fog and was real with myself, I'm all of those things.
yeah,
And I will always be all of those things. Um, which is why I was so excited to I love talking about it now.
yeah,
It's the weirdest thing. I
yeah,
used to want to keep it this big secret, but you can't do that anyways. But then people play the game of telephone. I'm like, well, that's not the story
yeah.
either. So it's like I love talking about it, and I'm grateful. Whatever this recovered, grateful recovered, recovering gambling and narcotics, and maybe some sort of sex addict is what they tell me. Who knows?
Who knows? But I love that, because that's something that has really been cool for me to watch since getting out of treatment is like you finding this like love and passion for recovery and what it's done for your life. And I want to get to the good stuff because we got about 25 minutes or so left. But there's one thing I want to touch on from treatment that I think is important. Um, at least it's important in the story of like who you are to me, right? So April 20th in treatment, right? It's Easter, 420. We start the day off going to Red Rocks. You went too, right? Or you were there at
Yeah,
the Red Rocks thing?
I
Yeah,
get it. I
we
went.
go,
I
we
was
go,
once.
we watch the sunrise at Red Rocks. We have a great day. And I get some news towards the end of the day that, what the specific thing is doesn't matter. But I get some news that makes me lose my shit on April 20th. And, at I know it was bad because in the initial aftermath, I had very little recollection of what happened and slowly over time kind of piece it together, but my understanding is I freaked out, yelled at a tech. I think it was concierge Kevin, which if
He's great.
yeah,
Never yelled.
but also probably not the guy to yell at just from a physical perspective. Yelled at a tech, told him I was going to AMA, punched the refrigerator a couple times, and then ended up outside throwing lawn furniture
Trying to
and
beat down the thing, whatever that's
the little
called.
pergola thing. Yeah. I tried to like yank it down. And I remember you putting me in a headlock and holding me on the ground until I was calm enough to not be held on the ground anymore. But
So I'm going to audit that a little bit.
yes, I want to hear your perspective.
You're a big guy. I am too, but you're a little bigger than me. You somehow in this whole catastrophe, you're at the pergola, and now you're closer towards the house, and you like somehow end up on the ground, maybe trip, whatever. And that's when it was, RJ, myself, Frank, I think was there, a couple others.
Yeah.
And, you sit for a second and calm, but then you're ready to get back up. And I happen to be behind you. And that's when I came in. I was like, nope, 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 you're not getting back up. And that's when everyone kind of surrounded you and gave you the love and gave you the hug, and you eventually came back to me. That was an intense moment, man.
Yeah.
It made me, not a lot scares me. That had me a little nervous.
I mean, I broke my hand somewhere and all that. Probably the fridge, I think.
The fridge you broke the fridge one.
Yes.
Fridge one, Joseph 0.
There's a little dent
The
in the
dent
fridge.
is still there to this day. They have not replaced that fridge, and it probably will forever will be. Yeah, do you remember me walking up to the door? You're on the phone. We didn't know because we were on this whole thing of, don't answer the phone if whomever calls, right?
Yes.
Remember that whole story? And I walk up and I hold a sign up to the door asking you
Who it was? Yeah.
Yeah. And you gave me a look of, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
You gave me a look I've never seen before.
Yeah. Well, what really sticks out to me from that night, is, I think I've never lost my shit like that in my whole life, like complete lack of control. I mean, agony, like physical, emotional, spiritual, just
Yeah, you
everything.
didn't even feel your hand broken
Yeah, no, not even
until an
till
hour later
till
almost.
later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I think like the biggest thing for me is how, because I sat on the ground for I don't know, it felt like a long time, with my eyes closed, like trying to breathe. And when I finally opened my eyes, realizing there's like, I don't know, fucking 6 dudes just sitting there, just in a circle around me, not trying to talk to me or do anything other than just like be there.
Yep.
And it was like, holy shit, because for a guy like me, with an ego like mine, being in treatment, as a therapist and someone who runs treatment centers and all that other stuff, you know, being able to like have that simple moment of like, I am not okay. And these people are sitting here just being present for me was like, holy fuck. And honestly, I mean, that night I would have gotten high, you know?
Yeah, it was an amazing moment. I mean, not it was an amazing
Powerful,
moment for
powerful.
how it went down,
Yeah.
powerful,
Yeah.
scary, all the words,
Well,
but same thing for me, it was I will forever hold this entire group in my heart for as long as I'm alive for a million reasons, not just that
yeah.
one. But yeah, that was definitely a very, very intense moment, and, it was it was I thought everyone did a really good job. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole house was there,
Yeah.
different levels of engagement,
Yeah.
but, um, it was that is why you do this, is because those we get so intimate together and we understand each other so much by the amount of time we spend with each other, the amount of time we spend talking about our worst, most vulnerable shit, that, you know, I've not met one bad person that came through there.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
and we know that a brother was struggling in that moment, so let's do whatever we can to help him, and that's what happened. And you did, and you fought through it and persevered, and the next day
Yeah.
you're back on track.
Yeah. I mean, one of the guys literally stayed up with me till like 3 in the morning, to keep
Yeah.
me company, but also to make sure that I didn't get access to the kitchen knives. But so let's
Yes. There was like a whole strategic plan as to how we were gonna do this, and I don't know, like, clear how that all worked out, but I
uh,
know
so
MT stayed with you for a little bit,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it was empty for sure.
Yeah.
But so, let's get to some good stuff, right? Because, we've kept in touch, obviously, since treatment, which, God, man, like that was 5 months ago at this point.
Yeah.
It's
It
crazy
was
'cause
yeah.
I got
7
out.
7 7 months I've been here.
Yeah,
Total with
yeah,
everything.
I got out April 29th, and came home. But, we've kept in touch, and I mean, like I was saying a little bit earlier, for me, the amazing thing has been seeing, you being from this place of like, gambling, kind of trying to get away with stuff in treatment to like the understanding of like, you know what, like I also can't drink or do drugs. And then watching you start to build a life in Denver and find this joy and in 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 your daily activities, right? Hearing you talk about your day and finding this passion for recovery and in particular, recovery from gambling, right? Which is something that I didn't know anything about before going to Valiant. You taught me a lot. And we've had a ton of conversations about it since then, which kind of led to bringing you on this show.
Yeah.
Um, so we've touched on a lot of ways that gambling and alcoholism, drug use kind of overlap and have really similar characteristics, but it's not the same, right? There's some key differences.
Yeah.
So I mean, as an expert with the lived experience, right? What's the stuff that you see that is different that people should know about gambling that that people don't understand about gambling?
So I'm gonna throw a little fun fact to you. It's not a fun fact, but whatever you wanna call it. I believe 24% of bankruptcies in 2024 or 23, one of the 24, were caused due to gambling. I've had the ability to work with probably the most well-known gambling counselor, on the East Coast here and there, and I've sat in on one of his symposiums, and, when I tell you the growth in the 1-800 numbers to be called, you see them at those commercials, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or whatever. They're all up 400%, 500%. Problem is, and they're coming, it's coming, but the problem is there's not a ton of resources out there for it at the moment. There are, but not like how there is everything else.
Oh, yeah.
And not even close. It'll get there, but it's not the same. I would tell anyone who watches this, but specifically parents who have kids that are old enough to understand what gambling is, whatever that means, whatever age that starts at, that these companies, and I'm all for legalized gambling. Like, that's a good thing. It's not better than dealing with your bookie in the streets, but I have some problems with the way they're functioning.
Yeah.
And they're targeting people at a young age, whether it's these Cupid games that are like block games that maybe you're not gambling, but it's triggering those
The
thoughts in your head.
dopamine. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's putting it in your head at a young age. And then, like, the parent, and I've had so many of my friends say this, they're like, "Oh, I just let my son put in a $5 parlay." He's in 8th grade, 9th grade, and you hit it for $50 and he loves it, and he loves to hear the stories. And I'm like, God forbid nothing happens to that kid, but the what you are doing to their brain at a young age that could potentially turn into something much worse, because the education is not there for people. Just be very cognizant of what you're doing and what you're doing with your kids, because as I told you, I was walking through the Denver airport when I came back from Oklahoma City 3 weeks ago, and there was a huddle of 18 to 20 college kids, and they were probably like a swim team, track team, something of that nature. And this is 10:30 on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
They're all huddled around the computer making a lot of noise. So naturally, I look over to see what's going on, and they're streaming horse racing, God knows where. It could Saudi Arabia for all we know, and they're going nuts. And I know what they're doing. They're gambling.
Yeah.
The day before, I'm in the University of Oklahoma with a brother from Valiant, and we go to one of these fraternities, and his son is a member there, whatever you call it, whatever you call those people.
He's fraternity brother. Yeah.
Fraternity brother. There you go. I asked him, I said, "How many of your 100 brothers here gamble?" He's probably 80% of them.
Yep.
And so that's at one frat in Oklahoma, and this is happening everywhere.
Listen, I talked to my kid about this, and like the high school football team at his high school, 90% of the kids have FanDuel accounts.
But they shouldn't be able to.
I mean, yeah. I mean, 90% of them are under the age of 18 also. There's a handful of the seniors that, right? Well, even then, 18 doesn't matter, right? It's 21. So, yeah, none of them should have accounts, but they all got accounts, The
other thing, too, is like, so back in the day, I'm gambling with the bookie. I call in, you bet the over-under, you bet the spread, you bet the money line. Okay, there's like 10, 20, maybe 10, 12 things you can bet on, right? In today's world, within one game, there is thousands of things to bet on, thousands of different ways to bet it. And you're not only competing against the house, who is going to have the edge no matter what. They have AI algorithms that Tim likes to bet parlays, or he likes to bet money line, or whatever it is I do. They're feeding you bonuses and things to drive those outcomes to the addictive behavior that you are displaying to them in your app. That's bringing you in and sucking you in. You don't even realize it's happening. And I hate to break to anyone, you're not winning against AI. Once they figure out how to put those algorithms in place, you're cooked. And to me, that shouldn't be legal. And it's up in the Congress, and some laws are maybe going to get passed. One law, or I guess a law didn't get passed, but DraftKings no longer takes credit cards, which I think was a very noble thing by them. They didn't have to stop doing that. But when you start using a credit card to gamble, it's a clear-cut thing that you have a problem.
Yeah, if
right?
you're swiping your Amex, things are not okay.
Right. And, so I just, if you would have told me 7 months ago my life is where it's at today, I'd have laughed in your face.
Yeah.
And I'm far from completely healed, far from completely recovered, and I have a battle that I have to do the rest of my life. But doing things like this will help me.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to hopefully stay in recovery. And what I've learned is speaking to it, doing things like this, getting back the person 2, 3, 4, 5, or however many that may watch this. But, from that post I put up on LinkedIn last week, the amount of people that have reached out to me via call, direct message, text, whatever it is just like everyone's got some stuff going on, but specifically to gambling, it is crushing people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And the thing with gambling is you can cover it up so much better than drugs because you're not taking a substance, right? It's not as visible to the world.
Yeah, there's no track marks, right?
Yeah. Now, little things you can watch for: amount of time spent on the phone, leaving, if you're, leaving certain scenarios, mood swings are all over the place. There's some different things you can look for, but I would be able to spot it out because I've lived it for 30 years.
Yeah.
But, your average person, you're just hoping that it doesn't happen to you.
Yeah.
And I'm sad to say it, but it's just getting started. It's not even close to having it's like the opiate pandemic all over again, epidemic. And it's, in a way, I guess I'm lucky to have caught it before or right in the early stages of all these apps. But
yeah. Well, there's like an arc to all of it, right? Like I think, Oxycontin came out late 90s, and here we are, 25, almost 30 years later, finally with the lawsuits and the money coming in for treatment and still dealing with the ramifications and the broken families and all that kind of stuff. And, I remember one of the counselors at Valiant, who specialized in sex addiction stuff, talking about like, man, when iPhones came out and all of a sudden everybody had, porn in their pocket 24/7. They saw the same thing, right? This big arc, this growth in diagnoses, a lack of resources, and like a catch up kind of refractory period to where like now there's more and more, awareness, understanding, and support, right?
I'll make it even easier for you. It's really as simple as this at this point in the game. Gambling's on the DSM-5, but it's not covered under insurances unless you can somehow finagle a little bit through like some mental health stuff and things of that nature. And that's hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gold rush for everyone else right now. Professional sports teams, these apps, these big companies,
all the money,
the government, everyone's making, it's a gold rush. They're making, they all say, oh, we're gonna make a ton of money. Yeah. There's a reason you have 4,000 commercials on every day. It's not because you're not making money. So just stop.
Yeah.
But, hopefully, and similar with the SA addiction stuff, like they can see this as a problem and that, if there's a way to get it covered under insurances, then obviously treatment centers will start to make it more a part of their curriculum because they'll get paid. And unfortunately, this is a business and they're going to cater to the people that can pay out of pocket and or get their insurance covered. And right now it's not covered by insurance unless you can finagle things a little bit.
I mean, the resources will catch up eventually. Just how long of a time frame that takes is kind of what's up for debate, I guess. The other thing that's real interesting to me is, since we've been talking, I've been doing research and trying to figure out, and I even asked ChatGPT to help me answer this question because I was trying to figure out, like, who are the experts? Like, who are the big voices in gambling treatment, right? Who are the counselors or psychiatrists who specialize in this, who are well known? And there just ain't many of them. I think I came up with like 3 names in the whole country.
I know one really, really good one for sure.
Yeah.
And that's how many therapists, counselors, psychologists are there in the world?
Yeah.
The US.
Yeah.
I could give you one that's, I know there's more than one, but I'll give you one that's off the charts. Other than that, not much going on.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. Well, we're getting towards the end of our time. We got about 5 minutes left. So Jason made me stop doing rapid fire question time. I know you've been watching some episodes. Have you seen any that had rapid fire question time?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, because you went back to some old ones. Okay, well, I want to do rapid fire question time, and Jason's not here, so we're going to do it. So
it's rapid fire question time.
First question. Ben & Jerry's approaches you to say, Tim, man, we saw the Toxicology podcast, your story with the gambling. It's so great. We want to do a signature Tim Mumford flavor. What do you put in your ice cream, and what do you call it?
Oh, well, I put chocolate chip cookie dough with some Oreos, a little bit of Hershey's warm syrup, and that's it. I'm a plain Jane, and I would call it Mystic Muff.
Mystic Muff. All right. I like it.
That's
I
all I
like it. All right. Question number 2. Let's go with, all right, you're having a rough day. You know, maybe you're a little stressed, whatever. What music do you throw on to help get you back in the fucking zone?
Oh, God, this is so embarrassing. I did it today. Potentially some Prince Royce, which is like Bachata, like Latin music,
Uh-huh.
or some old school like TLC. What about your friends? And I'm
What
like a
about your
cheesy guy when it comes to music.
Yeah.
So, and all my buddies know that. Like, I listen to Backstreet. It's weird.
Ain't nothing wrong with Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Great. All right, let's see. One more question. Okay. What's the secret?
But I haven't told anybody.
No, what's the secret?
The secret. Gotta elaborate that a little bit more for me. Be honest all the time, and you will be all right in life.
All right, see, there you go. Made you think a little bit. Last thing we like
I
to do.
didn't know where you're going with that, but yeah.
Last thing we like to do before we wrap it up is just give you the opportunity to just have the floor. Anything we didn't talk about, any final message you want to leave there for the audience, for viewers, someone who may be struggling with gambling addiction, do your thing.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me. This is a great opportunity. I really enjoyed doing this. Could do it for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
For anyone out there struggling with gambling addiction, I am living proof that you can get better if you surrender the process of healing and getting brutally honest with yourself, just like any other addiction. But very, very easy to hide your lies within the gambling world. If you continue down this rabbit hole of the chase and the rob and the manipulation and the lies, I believe it's 2 in 5 think about suicide, 1 in 5 commit suicide.
Yep.
And that's a proven fact. Don't become one of those people.
Yeah.
I almost became one of those people. I really almost did. I was very close to it.
Well, I'm very grateful you didn't.
There's people here that, I'm not a psychologist, clinician, or counselor, but I'll talk to anybody that has a gambling addiction just as a friend. There's a place that I went that helped me, Valiant Living. I have my battles with them, but they help save my life. There's places you can go. Most important thing you can do is just take a time out. Just take a time out from life. Don't say you got to get back to work, to your kids, to your family, because eventually if you keep doing what you're doing, none of that's going to be there anyways. So just, if you want to get to treatment or to GA or to whatever it is, give yourself the time you need to heal. That's the mistake I made the first time, is I didn't give myself the time I needed to heal, and I wasn't honest among all the other things. Give yourself time to heal, and you will be okay as long as you learn how to be brutally honest. The problem, there's not a friend out there, person I've had a thing with that isn't being reasonable with me as I continue to this journey back to the person that I once was. Every single person in my life has been amazing. And so I didn't think that was going to be the case.
I love it. Love it. Well, Tim, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be on the show, to talk to us about everything. I love you, and it's been great getting to be a part of your story and watching you grow. And honestly, it's helped me to watch you find this passion for recovery, of all sorts. To our loyal viewers, thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to Toxicology. Don't forget to like, follow, share, comment. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Store, and wherever else you consume your fine podcasts. And as we like to say here on Toxicology, man, am I going to do that one? I like Frank's quote. Life is not a problem to be solved, but an experience to be had. We'll see you next time.
Love you, buddy. Thank you.
Love you.